Hey folks, Mike Naso here with the latest on our very dangerous Hurricane Milton. Take a look at this monster in the Gulf of Mexico. Still a Category 5 hurricane, record-breaking, one of the lowest pressures ever recorded in the Atlantic, and it is expected to strike the west coast of Florida as a very dangerous major hurricane sometime late Wednesday or early Thursday. Let's get right to it. Now, this is as of 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, so we'll have another update with a new track at 11 o'clock, and then we'll have another update at 2 in the morning, and then a new track at 5 in the morning, and so on and so forth. But as of 8 p.m., the hurricane was at 23.0 north, and that's 86.9 west, and that puts it about 440 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. Is headed in that general direction, although some of the model guidance is indicating it might come in south of there. Now, the forecast track, anywhere within this cone is where you could expect a direct landfall, but again, the impacts are going to be widespread, especially with the water, so you want to focus on making sure that if you're in an evacuation zone, you are out of Dodge, because that water is the main threat with this hurricane. Now, as of 5 p.m., the official track brings it in very close to Sarasota, Florida, which means areas south of that line would be most susceptible to the storm surge. Now, what kind of storm surge are we talking about? 10, 12, 15 feet above normal tide levels, and that's with crashing waves on top of that. So this area here shows the inundation levels possible. Longboat Key, Siesta Key, all of these beachfront resort areas underwater. And so if you are in that evacuation zone, you really got to listen to local officials and heed whatever advice they want to tell you. Here's the latest satellite image. Look at this monster. Look at how tightly coiled he is. Hurricane force winds only extend out about 30 miles from that eye. And the aircraft have been flying out there. As a matter of fact, the NOAA aircraft, Miss Piggy, was out there earlier. They hit severe turbulence. Those NOAA aircraft people do a great job giving us data, and we feed it into the models. Now, speaking of the models, these are the GFS models, and they're zeroing in on an area near Tampa, maybe a little bit south of there. So if you're in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Anna Maria Island, Clearwater even, further north, you guys need to listen to your local officials, and if you're told to evacuate, please do so. There have been mass evacuations ongoing, and that is a good thing. Get everybody out. Whatever the hurricane does to property, we could fix later, but we can't fix human life. Now, here's the European ensembles, and it appears to be, looking at this satellite, dragging right along the south side of the model guidance a little. So there's a chance that that track might be shifted a little bit further south as time goes on. But either way, a very dangerous hurricane. Look at that cold cloud tops surrounding the eye of the hurricane. That gray, when you get gray on the infrared, there's another look at the visible as the sun goes down, the true color image. Look at that. Look at that bubbling right around the eye wall of the hurricane as I zoom in there. Very dangerous. Again, everybody needs to be on alert, because we have impacts that are going to be not just from storm surge, but also rainfall. Right now, there's some rain offshore mostly, but it is all headed here towards the Florida coastline, so we're going to have rain preceding the hurricane, and then the rain from the hurricane. That's creating a high flood risk right across the peninsula. And I should note, we have the hurricane warnings obviously from areas of Bonita Beach all the way up to Suwannee River, but we also have hurricane warnings from the Martin-St. Lucie County line up the coast, because hurricane force winds will rip across the state of Florida. Milton's expected to rip right across the state, and so be ready for prolonged power outages, tree damage, roof damage, just a real mess. But the direct impact of storm surge cannot be overemphasized enough for areas here. If it comes in just north of Tampa Bay, then you're looking at maybe storm surge directly into Tampa Bay. If it hits Tampa or a little south, let's say it comes in Bradenton Beach, then that area to the south. So right now, if you're in Charlotte Harbor, if you're in Captiva Island, Sanibel, Fort Myers, you guys could see at least 6 to 10 feet of water rises. Remember what happened to Clearwater with Helene, 7 feet of surge? Double that. That's what we're dealing with Milton. Now, as far as how strong Milton's going to be when he gets there, here's the wind shear. And again, there's a lot of wind shear with this flow pushing the hurricane, but he's been kind of dragging along in tandem with the shear, and that's why, because of the tightness and those hot waters, look at these water temperatures, Milton's going to pass over a very warm water eddy, and that could be a big problem too. So again, we have Milton passing over the warm waters, we have the wind shear low to the south, kind of enhancing the outflow. Milton's just kind of spinning, gliding right towards Florida, but we still believe the hurricane will fluctuate. Remember, it had been a 5, went down to a 4, is back up to a 5. I highly doubt it strikes as a Category 5. We've only had 4 that we know of on record going back to 1851, and those were 1935 Florida Keys, Hurricane Camille 1969 Mississippi, Hurricane Andrew 1992 Homestead, Florida, and Hurricane Michael 2018 up in the Florida Panhandle, Mexico Beach. So I don't think Milton will be a 5, but high-end Category 3, Category 4, that's possible. So not only do you have disastrous winds, especially at the coast, but that water that is built up as a Category 5, the longer it stays a 5 over water, the harder it'll be to get that water to subside before it strikes. So that's why storm surge is such a threat. But I'll be back with continuous coverage as we watch this very dangerous major hurricane aim towards Florida. Again, there is a lot of alarmism out there, but you don't want to overhype it, but you also don't want to downplay what a serious situation this is for the west coast of Florida. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with frequent updates on this very dangerous hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico.